This video is brought to you by my new book, Mouth of Winter, a direct follow-up to my previous novel, Dullbloods. If you're looking for something new to read or want to see what happens to John Kettle next, then feel free to check it out. Links are in the description. Of all the companies that influenced my taste in games, Atari was one of the few that had no impact on me. I knew of them and knew about some of their games as a kid, but it wasn't until I played the 2008 Alone in the Dark that they really had an impact on me. But lately, they've managed to catch more of my attention because it looks like they've begun to go through a renaissance. What with them releasing niche hardware for their original fans, their acquisition and good use of studios like Night Dive and Digital Eclipse, recently buying up dormant IPs from Ubisoft like Cold Fear, and the startling announcement of Bubsy 4D.
Was it something I said? What could possibly go wrong?
But amongst all of this, they've also been reviving a lot of their old arcade originals, and home console titles as well, one of which managed to catch my eye, a revival of the game that helped define the action-adventure genre. Hell, its name makes up half of the genre. Adventure. The game I ironically learned about through Robot Chicken is back, now as an openly retro Metroidvania called Adventure of Samsara. Immediately, this had my attention because it looked good, but for the life of me, I could not find hide nor hair of anyone talking about it. Why? Can't say. So I decided to take it upon myself and see if this was an adventure worth pursuing, or if the game about a certain hornet was the one I should have played instead. After just shy of 10 hours, I can say this. Adventure of Samsara is really chill. The story of Adventure of Samsara is unfortunately one of its weak points. I found it to be rather basic and forgettable with only one standout character, an astronaut from another universe named Cosmonauto. Other than him, if you ask me to try and name any of the other characters, couldn't say. I can describe them and tell you what they did, but their names... nah. However, while narrative isn't the game's biggest strength, that doesn't mean it's a major weakness. A lot of creativity and interesting ideas did go into the finer details, and they will stick out to you. For instance, the world of Pluto is a creative mix of early sci-fi and fantasy, a world where primordial magic and advanced technology come together into something that's as unique as it is mysterious. We play as the Solar Champion, an ancient that's been resurrected by the light of the sun to slay a trio of necromancers and stop them from destroying the universe. As we explore the world, we find bits of lore that is genuinely compelling, painting a picture of a world that's trapped in a constant cycle of reincarnation and repeating history, where an ancient computer simulation governs reality and the wider multiverse, and gaining direct access is the only way to either escape the cycle of reincarnation or reshape the universe. It's just a shame that the story is like Destiny's base game. All of this interesting lore has little bearing on the plot as we experience it until the end. After we slay the third necromancer, that's when this other guy shows up. I honestly don't remember if he was this other NPC that pops up occasionally or not, and he just goes, "Ha-ha, you fool! Now I shall find the black hole cube, enter the ark, and govern reality as your new god. Ha ha ha!" Then we beat this guy and get an ending so abrupt it had me going, wait, was that it? I genuinely thought I missed something. That maybe there was a side quest or two I had to do to get the true ending, but no. Even if the story wasn't the game's main focus, there was potential for an epic narrative here. But as the story stands, it's serviceable, with flashes of brilliance, but you know it could have been so much more. As for the gameplay and presentation, what can I say other than they're retro? To a fault. Everything from the graphics to sound and the gameplay feel like what a Metroidvania would be like on the Atari 2600, and it certainly gives it a unique look. There are areas in this game that are beautiful examples of pixel art and showcase the talent at Ilex Games, but it also means that the combat has a stop and start flow to it, which I won't deny isn't as much fun as the combat in other games that can move at a quicker pace. In fact, it's not just the combat, but gameplay as a whole is slow. But unlike the combat specifically, it's not as much of a bugbear. Granted, slow combat and platforming will put some people off, but personally, I found it led to a gameplay experience that was relaxing. As you progress, open up the shortcuts, upgrade your weapons, health, and mana, the gameplay does pick up its pace without losing its chill. However, if you upgrade your health too much, then you can end up with so much that you can literally tank every boss fight, robbing them of a fair bit of challenge. So if you don't want them to get too easy, you should only upgrade your health 3 or 4 times. There's also an astral realm we can access that adds an extra layer to exploration, with shortcuts and routes that can only be accessed through this alternate plane of existence. Unfortunately, like with much of the story, it's a case of wasted potential, since it doesn't come into play till the last third of the game, and it never connects back to earlier areas, nor is it the only way to access secret areas or even complete side quests. The bosses in the game are a delight to fight. Each one is distinct in design and creative in how they function, but if you're like me and have a love-love relationship with Souls-likes, you will be disappointed, because these bosses are easy. They can offer some challenge, but after one go, you've figured out their attack patterns and you can take them out on your second or third try. Never mind if you upgrade your health too much. But as I said earlier, each one is distinct and creative, and they will stick out to you because of this. One boss was this giant worm, and I had to scale him while avoiding attacks to reach his weak points. The spider necromancer is also a tense timing puzzle. The bearer of understanding has 3 or 4 different platforming challenges that make up his attack patterns, and the fight with a giant slime cube and another with an ancient robot have attacks based on bullet hell shooters. You're guaranteed to have at least one of these bosses stick with you, but if they don't, there are some optional bosses that may instead. The dragons. You see, the dragons are the main connective tissue this game has to the original adventure. There's a handful of them spread across each of the game's biomes, and they act like the dragons from the original. They'll move between rooms when the player dies, so you never know where exactly they are, so every time you run across one, things can get really tense in the early game, since they can attack you from anywhere in the room, and if you're getting close, they'll basically do to you what the Ark of the Covenant did to Belloc. So fighting the dragons can offer the best challenge in the game, and they're worth taking on, because when you slay one you get an artifact that you can exchange with Cosmonauto for accessories, and these can give you a tremendous edge that comes with a real sense of pride and accomplishment. However, as you progress you will have upgraded your ranged weapon, and upgrade your health enough that its charged attack can do to the dragons what a hot knife does to butter, with the last one being reduced to just pissing in the wind. But by then, and even if you've limited your health upgrades, this is more a result of the player becoming more powerful than the dragons just turning out to be cheap. And I won't deny, I did have a lot of fun making the last dragon my bitch. If I had a real complaint about them, it would be that they're all the same. On the surface, they're distinct. There's an ice dragon, a poison dragon, a fire one, and so on and so on. But they're all the same, it's just different aesthetics. Same attacks, same behavior, same everything. I wish there was at least one unique attack for each one, but no. But considering that they are optional and still fun to fight, this is only a minor bugbear. I enjoyed the time I spent with Adventure of Samsara. It was a relaxing, retro experience that knew when to up the ante. It's not a classic or a Game of the Year contender, but is a satisfying revival for an otherwise forgotten, yet important piece of video game history that I'm glad I tried. It has me hoping that we see a follow-up that won't take another 45 years to be made. Plus, with it costing the same to buy a Silk Song, safe to say I got my money's worth. Alright, it's good to finally get this out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was great playing Adventure of Samsara, and if you guys really liked it, I'd appreciate if you hit the like and the subscribe buttons, and I'd also appreciate if you went into the links in the description and checked out Mouth of Winter. That would be swell. Now as for the next game review, I've actually got a fair few number of things that are on my radar that I want to check out at some point, such as Chronos, Silent Hill F, Hollow Knight Silk Song, and many, many more. I've also got a backlog showcase that I've had on the back burner that I will get around to finishing. So expect a review on one of those games or something else in the near future. Anyway, I've got all that more coming up, so please stick around.